See, this is what happens when y'all do that fake friend stuff for the show, and then y'all get in one little disagreement and everything blows up because y'all were never friends to begin with. Let's talk about it.
Roxiie says we're gonna talk about it.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl Roxiie with Roxiie Says, and we're going to talk about it. Today, we are reviewing The Real Housewives of Atlanta, Season 16, Episodes 15 and 16, because this video is late. This video is late. I am so sorry, y'all. I missed last week's episode, and I've been reviewing a daily show called Love Island, as some of y'all know, and it's been quite an adjustment. I've never taken on a show with this many episodes ever before. So thank you all so much for your patience. I feel like I'm in the swing of things, and the reviews should be on time moving forward. Okay, so thank you all so much for your patience, and thank you all for jumping me in the comments of my Love Island reviews. Like, girl, where's the video? So let's get right into this. But before we do, please don't forget to hit like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that you hit that notification bell so that you are made aware every time I post a new video. Okay, y'all, so let's get into this review. So we are still in Grenada. All right, the ladies are coming off of a fun, drunk, twerking behind night, and today starts the rebirth chapter of their Grenada trip. So we see Drew and Angela. They're spending more time together, and they share a laugh about Drew's facial expression when Brit was professing her undying love for Shamia. That was an entire mess. Remember, Brit was like, girl, I love you, girl. I love you, girl. Can't nothing shake this, okay? We are your village, girl. Bye, all right? So Angela says that last night also showed her the cracks within Britt and Kelly's friendship. And Drew says that it definitely seemed like Britt was on her own last night and they were barely speaking. So Drew says that she's going to keep her eyes open, and Angela says that her spidey senses are tingling. And you already know that if you and your friend have cracks in y'all's relationship, Angela is going to find it and she's going to pull it out. Hallelujah. She gonna get to the bottom of it, all right? So next we see Shamia on the phone with her mother, and she's filling her in on what happened last night with Shiloh. So unfortunately, when Shamia's mom got to the house, it was cold. The house was freezing cold. Shiloh wasn't properly dressed, and she was shaking, and she says that it took her about an hour and a half to get her body heated back up. Meanwhile, the nurse is all bundled up, nice and warm, toes all wiggling, just horrible, while Shiloh is freezing cold, okay? But at the same time, I was like, where's Gerald? Like, where was he? Was he on a work trip or something? Was he busy? I don't know, but still, it's like, where were you? Especially after I just gave you a cookie in my last review, child. Anyway, next we see Portia, Cynthia, and Phaedra. They're having a chat, and Phaedra is telling them that Angela was giving Barbara Walters last night with all the questions that she was asking. And I didn't like that they were trying to act like Britt was in the wrong for catching and pressing Shamia on the passive-aggressive shade that she was throwing. Like, why y'all trying to make it seem like Britt was crazy for that? I didn't like that. And like I said, Britt had every right to call Shamia out, and all Shamia did was backpedal. Shamia, don't throw any more shots if that's the way that you're going to handle it. Just keep it on mute, okay? So then Phaedra says that she has a little bit of tea for them. So apparently, Britt told Phaedra that Kelly doesn't want her to use the same glam squad as her anymore. And we get a flashback of Kelly in her confessional saying that Britt doesn't have a glam squad and she let Britt use her team temporarily. Remember, this was after the whole "who is this hoe" debacle, right? And Kelly came over to her home with some food, with a glam squad, with the IV drips, all of that, okay? They also play the clip of Kelly being Britt's parent. Remember when Kelly was like, what about that baby doll? They don't know about that baby doll at Cynthia's Juneteenth event. All right, so they're noticing that last night Kelly was extremely quiet and she actually held Britt accountable for her donation. So there's clearly been a shift within their friendship. And Portia tells us that it just has to be jealousy because that is the only thing that can cause drama in a friendship. Girlfriends break up for more than just jealousy, but I feel like you would relate to jealousy the most. I feel like you would relate to that, and we're going to see you say the same thing in the next episode as well. So Phaedra tells them that she had to tell Britt that she was doing way too much because they're trying to keep it fun, and maybe that conversation is the reason why Britt decided to pop out her girls when they all got home. And Phaedra says that something on one of the girls was a bit inverted, but you know Phaedra, she just be saying stuff. Phaedra just be saying anything, but when she does say it, Portia turns to Cynthia and she's like, oh, that's like your love button. We'll call it that. That's like your love button. Now, is this information that Cynthia has previously shared with the public? Because if not, Phaedra girl, what's up? What's up with that? What was that about? Anyway, next we see Brit go visit Kelli and they have a chat, and Kelli lets her know that as soon as she gets back home, she's going to have to deal with finalizing her divorce, and Kelli gets emotional over all of the custody and property matters that she's currently dealing with. So when Kelli asks Brit how she felt about last night, Brit says that she has mixed emotions because she thought that they've always been good. So when Kelli mentioned the donations, Brit says that she was on some, hey, what's going on here? And Brit tells us that it felt very passive aggressive, and like I said from before, I don't see it for Brit, but in regards to this, she was right, okay? They threw the shade at her and she caught it. So Brit's issue is that Shamea is acting like she's cheap when she asked her multiple times what would be an appropriate amount to give. Now, here's the thing. Since Brit has been pretending to be a housewife with her car shopping and her lobster tails for lunch and the brokey brunch and her husband being sued for funds, she wouldn't know what to give. She wouldn't know what to give. She is not in those circles. And you can tell that she isn't a generous person either, because a regular person like myself has definitely donated way more than $250 to a cause, okay? But of course, all donations are a blessing. Let's not get that confused. All donations are a blessing, but I feel like because of the circle that she's currently in and the way that she tries to portray herself, I feel like the ladies definitely expected a certain amount that was a couple of steps above what the average person could or would do. However, although I feel like Brit should have known better, I also feel that if she went to Shamea beforehand, if she went to Kelli beforehand and asked for a ballpark figure, they could have said, well, hey, girl, I'm about to donate $2,000. I know some of the other ladies are donating between $1,000 to $3,000. They could have given her an estimate just so that she had somewhat of an idea, okay? So Brit asks Kelli if there's something other than the donations that's causing an issue. And Kelli says that because of the way that Brit talks, like her saying that her and her staff all flew to Miami to get plastic surgery, she just had bigger expectations as far as the donation. And Brit tells Kelli that it's not that complicated and that all of the extras are unnecessary. And then she tells Kelli that she uses her team, her makeup, her security, and all of these things as a shield. And in Brit's confessional, she says that she knows what the real issue is with Kelli, but she's not going to say it. Okay, girl. So in Kelli's confessional, she says that she doesn't understand why Brit is talking about her entourage when she wants her entourage. And Kelli lets us know that Brit actually requested a meeting with her glam squad behind her back. But Brit is claiming that Kelli told the team that she didn't want them to work with her, but it was really Kelli's idea originally. Child, a whole mess, okay? Overall, Brit tells Kelli that her actions weren't giving best friend, and if she felt away, she should have shared it with her as opposed to sharing it in front of the entire group. And with that, I agree, Brit is right. If that's your friend, she should talk to you in private, not embarrass you in front of everyone, okay? And Kelli knows better. Kelli knows better, but I do think that in addition to witnessing Brit's behavior so far, Kelli is definitely trying to get in good with Shamea, and that has a lot to do with the way that she's treating Brit, all right? So next we see the ladies, they're arriving to the pool, and Kelli and Shamea are matching, and I said, oh my God, look at y'all. Y'all look so cute. And Angela is me because the way she was like, ooh, Brit gonna be mad when she come down here and see her bestie matching with Shamea. Ooh, that is so me. So Drew arrives, and the ladies are cracking up about all of the fun that they had last night, and Drew asks them if they can make a pact that they'll keep the same carefree vibe from last night and end all of the fighting. Girl, bye, that's not happening. It's not happening, all right? So Shamea says, you know, we can do that, but we should still be able to quickly move past issues. And I said, Shamea, by that, do you mean that you should be able to throw shade at someone, and when they clock you on it, you should be allowed to play dumb and then they just stop talking about it? Is that what you mean by moving on quickly? Okay, girl. So the ladies are just now realizing that everyone is there except for Brit. They meet with Randall. He is the chairman of tourism of Grenada. And the ladies think that he is so fine. We see Phaedra hugging all up on him. And she says that he's a good looking guy. All right. So when Brit finally arrives, Kelli is like, hey, Brit, this is Randall. You know, he's the one who helped us with all the donations. Child. Kelli, I see you picking up on that passive aggressiveness from Shamea. Girl. So the ladies are heading to Jab Jab, which is a huge celebration. And they give some history on the people of Grenada flipping the meaning of the term jab, which slave owners would use, and it meant devils, okay? So to celebrate and take back the meaning of the word, they just paint their skin in black oil, right? And they'll put the horns on. You'll see them dancing in the street. Sometimes you'll see the Moko Jumbi as well. And the ladies cannot wait to participate later, all right? So when Randall leaves, the ladies are still in the pool, and Kelli tells them that her soon-to-be ex-husband's attorney still hasn't responded, and he's on his 6th attorney. And Drew was like, well, child, Ralph is on his 3rd attorney. And I said, girl, it looks like you might need to switch attorneys as well, because remember that last hearing that y'all had? You didn't win a damn thing. You didn't win a damn thing that you wanted, okay? So Kelli and Drew are shocked to find out that they both have the same wedding anniversary of August 21st. Yikes. And things are still very fresh for them because they're both around the 10-year milestone of their marriage, and both marriages are coming to an end, all right? So while they're speaking, we see Porsha telling the ladies that she'll be back, and Shamea goes along with her. And in Porsha's confessional, she says that she has a little surprise for Shamea. So Kelli also leaves the pool area, and as soon as she leaves, Angela swoops right in and she's like, hey, how was your conversation with Kelli, Brit? How did it go? How did it go? Side note, did y'all catch Cynthia in the background sniffing her armpits, making sure that she wasn't funky? The way that Cynthia just be chilling and collecting her check, I love it for her. I do. I love this for her, all right? So Brit tells Angela, Cynthia, Phaedra, and Drew that the chat went well with Kelli, and Kelli was just letting her know where Shamea was coming from. And she says that Kelli told her that she needs to show up for her friends. And Phaedra says, now who made her the damn prime minister of the group? Listen, that made me laugh. Thank you, Phaedra. You actually got a chuckle out of me, girl, all right? So next we see Porsha. She comes out and she gives Shamea a grand introduction. And Shamea comes out looking good AF in her bathing suit, and she has on this huge straw hat. And Porsha has this cute little photo shoot set up for her because she says that she saw Shamea hurting and she wanted to make her feel special today. And of course, Shamea lets us know that she was deeply touched by this gesture from her best friend, her bestie. And it definitely was a nice gesture for optics, but it makes me wonder, had y'all not been on this trip together in Grenada, would Porsha have shown up for Shamea, or how would Porsha have shown up for Shamea? Because remember, I've been saying from like the very first episode, when Shamea spoke about the people who were there for her the most when Shiloh was born, she did not mention Porsha. She did not mention Porsha coming over to help her or to do anything for her. She just didn't, okay? And also, if y'all really want to mend that friendship, a real conversation is needed, and y'all still have not had that. Not a conversation where Porsha gets up and starts to cry, runs to the bathroom, and when she comes back to the table, tells the waitress to pack up her food. Not that. A real conversation, okay? So next we see Kelli. She's on the phone with her attorney preparing for her final divorce hearing, and she's discussing how hard her soon-to-be ex-husband is making things for her and how much she tries to hide everything from the children. She tells her attorney that he had actually once bought her land as an anniversary gift, but she has since heard that he has sold the land to a friend, and she doesn't know where the paperwork would be on it. She has no idea where anything is. So next we see the ladies. They're at Jab Jab, and they all having a whole bunch of nothing, just bathing suits and fishnets, which is more than appropriate attire for a Jab Jab, okay? So we see them take a couple of shots, and they head on the road. Jab Jab starts at 5 a.m. on the morning of Carnival. And if you're from Brooklyn and you're familiar with Juve morning, it's pretty much the same thing, all right? But since the ladies are special and Shamea called her people, they were able to have the Jab Jab experience at night. So not the real thing, more like a recreation, but still lit nonetheless. They had a good time, all right? So they pull up. You see everyone. They're all oiled up. The men are blowing fire. They have their horn hats. And it's really sexy. It's really fun. Just everyone all in black, just dancing, winding up on each other. It's a vibe. It's a vibe. And we see Phaedra. She gets picked up and she gets grinded on and she's yelling, oh, I'm a Christian. Oh, I'm a Christian. Listen, Phaedra, you made me laugh again, okay? I like when Phaedra is just being funny, just being funny. I don't like when she's unnecessarily shading the ladies, shading their bodies. That's just lame to me. But when she's just being funny, I like it, okay? So they dance on the big truck and they take some more shots and they clearly had an amazing time. So the next morning, we see that there's black paint all on the villa walls, all on the sheets, and the ladies are packing up to leave before they have breakfast together. So when they sit down for breakfast, we learn that Brit had to scrub all of the paint off of Phaedra's body. Now, Phaedra, is that really something that you needed help with? You telling me that you can't wash your own ass? Is that what you... Anyway, so next we see Kelli. She says that she's not ready to go home because she has to deal with the reality of her divorce. And she says that when she was on the phone with her attorney last night, she was crying. She was very upset. And when she stood up, the crystal that was in her lap fell to the floor and it broke in half. So she says that she looked up the meaning and she learned that that symbolized the end of a relationship. And she feels like it was God sending her a sign. So Kelli takes the crystal and the ladies gather around her and she throws the crystal into the water and she lets them know how thankful she is that they got to spend all of this time together to relax, reset, and renew. Okay, so now we are on to episode 16 and we are back in Atlanta, baby. The episode opens up with Shamea at the doctor's office with her daughters singing her t-shirt song. And I was like, what's that song about? Is that a child appropriate song to be singing? I don't know. Let me know in the comments, all right? And we see someone in production ask Shamea why her babies are always so greased up. The way that I would have told you to Google it, because I don't like that question. I didn't like that question at all, okay? Anywho, thankfully, Shiloh has been doing great. She's been doing a lot better since Shamea has returned from Grenada. And Shamea was a bit concerned because she said that she got strep throat. So they're checking to make sure that Shiloh didn't catch it from her. And thankfully, she didn't, and she's A-okay. And once again, we see Shamea in her confessional saying that she wants to give her husband what he wants, and what her husband wants is a son. And that's how we always hear her explaining it. What my husband wants. Shamea, what do you want? What do you want for yourself? Outside of pleasing Gerald, what do you want? Did he tell you that he's going to leave you if you don't give him a son or something? Like, girl, what is it? All right. So we learned that they did move forward with Asha, the surrogate, but it failed. So they decided to put everything on hold. And I honestly think that that's a sign. I think that that's a sign. You guys' hands are already full. You can't even depend on the nurse that you currently have. And you want to add another child to the mix. I just feel like it's a lot, but who am I? All right. So we're now at Phaedra's place, and she lets us know that the funeral business is booming, and she's recently become a Reiki healer. Love that for her. And we also learned that her son Dylan loves fashion, and he once had to make a particular style of pants that he wanted because he couldn't find it in his size in the stores. He wanted some bell bottoms. So Phaedra got him a sewing machine, and she says that the rest is history. And I absolutely love that Phaedra welcomed that, and she isn't one of those weird ass parents who thinks that it's a crime for their son to know how to cook, how to clean, how to sew, you know, just basic shit, right? And we also see that Aiden is the politician manager type son, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna need my money, all right? And I absolutely love their dynamic. And we see Phaedra tell the boys that she'll be having a black glove shopping event this weekend, and Dylan promises that he will be able to have his pants ready in time to showcase at this event. And I love everything about this. And I don't know how Phaedra is as a mother overall. Obviously, I don't know the lady. But when it comes to this and how she pours into her children's dreams and their talents, I absolutely love that. I love it so much. And I just wish that every single child had that love and support of their dreams. I really do. But I absolutely loved this scene. Okay. Anywho, we see Kelli. She's arriving for her final court date, or what was supposed to be her final court date. And she says that she's just ready to restart her life for herself and for her girls. Obviously, cameras were not allowed in the courtroom, but we do see Kelli and her team. They come out 4 hours later saying that it was a shit show. They said it was a shit show. And when Kelli gets home, we learn that she still isn't divorced because they went over the scheduled time. So now there's a continuance. And of course, Kelli is disappointed because she wants this to be over with. So we see Shamea. She comes over to check on her after such a horrible day. And Kelli lets Shamea know that her soon-to-be ex-husband went to jail today for unpaid child support. And the last time this happened, the only reason that he paid the child support was to get out of jail. A mess. All right. So we see that Angela calls to check up on Kelli, and Kelli gives her the rundown on today's events. So when she hangs up with Angela, Kelli lets Shamea know that she hasn't even spoken to Britt since Grenada, and she's disappointed because everyone knows what a big day this was for her, and she has shown up for Britt in the past and stood by her side through the whole Kenya situation. And that is true. We did see Kelli hold Britt down through that and support her brunch, visit her at her home. We saw all of it, and she hasn't gotten a text, a call, a flower, nothing. And we're going to see Britt's reasoning in just a few. So next we see that everyone is getting their invitations to Phaedra's event, which will be held at one of her clients' showrooms, and there will be faux fur, chinchilla, and more. Okay, so next we see that Kelli has invited Angela, Drew, Phaedra, and Charles to her 7th cooking class pop-up event with William Sonoma, and she says that she's one of their brand partners. And she also says that she invited these ladies in particular because they bonded in Grenada, and she wants to build on that friendship. And of course, Britt, the bestie, is not in attendance. So child, Kelli and Charles, they're about to have a cooking competition. They're making waffles. And when Charles was in his confessional and he said, hey, a lot of people own restaurants and can't cook, the way that I cackled, all right? So he went into this competition very confident. So while they're preparing the food, the ladies are all shocked to learn that Kelli still has not spoken to Britt since Grenada, even though they're supposed to be best friends. And Kelli says that right now she's just going to focus on herself. All right. Meanwhile, we see that Britt is getting a visit from Cynthia and Portia. And the way that both Cynthia and Portia was like, oh, girl, you invited me to your house. You finally invited me to your house. Had me cracking up. But Britt lets us know that she took heed to Phaedra's advice in Grenada, and she says that she wants to work on building a bond with these ladies. So when they get settled in, Britt tells the ladies about Kelli not wanting her glam team to work with her because according to Britt, Kelli felt like she was getting the short end of the stick when they were in Nashville, and she thought that Brit's looks were better than hers. And we get a confessional of Kelli confirming that she did tell her team that because Brit wanted to use everyone that Kelli had. Now, I can understand Kelli feeling a way about it, especially since some of the looks were very similar. They showed us a couple of side-by-side shots. The looks were very similar, but apparently it wasn't only the stylist that Brit wanted to use. There's more. And on top of that, Brit says that the same stylist who can't work with her is now working with Shamea. And Portia and Cynthia were like, oh, really? Really? And I said, oh, Kelli really is trying to get in good with Shamea. I feel like Kelli is trying to be a lapdog junior. I do. And then Brit purposely lets it slip that Shamea has been talking shit about Portia, telling all of her business. And she says, look, I've seen text messages between you and Shamea. I've seen the text messages where you're talking about your divorce. I've seen it all. And Portia lets us know that those were actually conversations with her and her therapist that she had sent to Shamea. So she's really pissed off about it, as she should be. Shamea, you're showing that, girl, you're not innocent in this little friendship thing. You're not innocent in this little friendship thing. Clearly, y'all both have y'all flaws. Clearly, y'all both have y'all issues, okay? And it's obvious that since Brit is mad about the glam team and she sees her closest ally, Kelli, slipping away, she's about to throw everyone under the bus. Kelli could get it. Shamea could get it. Whoever. Any of y'all can get it, okay? But obviously, y'all were both talking about Portia, right? Y'all were both talking about Portia, because if Brit can bring you news, Portia, just know that when she was talking to Shamea about you, she was an active participant in that conversation. Because if I was Portia, I'd have been like, and what did you say? What did you say when she showed you what she showed you? What did you say? Yeah. Okay. So next, we see Kelli and Charles. They are making their waffles, and the ladies rate both of the dishes, and they rate both dishes at a tie. But I feel like Charles's were probably better, and they just didn't want to embarrass Kelli because she's supposed to be the waffle queen or whatever, right? But while that's happening, we see some random man come up to Angela saying, can I talk to you in private? I know some things about your husband that you might want to know. And Angela says, I have absolutely no idea who this man is. And then we see him doing a messy ass toast talking about, cheers if your name is Angela and your husband is cheating on you. What is this? What is this? But everyone is like, ooh, oh my gosh, it's giving thirsty. It's giving disrespectful, because at this point, even if he had some actual truth to tell her, how can she even take you seriously when it's obvious that you're looking for a moment? And you're doing this on camera, and it sounds like you're mic'd. Like, what's going on? What's going on here? Okay, but we do see that Kelli's security guard finally gets his goofy ass up out of here, right? And child, as soon as Phaedra left Kelli's event, she damn near couldn't even start the car before she called Portia and told her everything that happened. And Cynthia and Portia and Britt, they're like, oh my gosh, what? Ooh wee, like, it's just the funniest thing. And I thought that was whack, especially since Phaedra, Portia, Cynthia, all of them have been through divorces and possible infidelity. They were just a little bit too excited for me. That was whack to me, all right? So next we see Phaedra. She's getting a call from Portia, and Portia informs her that her cousin Londi passed away. Unfortunately, remember, we did speak about this in an earlier review, so RIP again to Londi, because she was so young. So young, all right? So of course, Portia will not be in attendance for Phaedra's event, but Phaedra does send her condolences, all right? So we see the party starting 2 hours after that, and everyone is arriving, and Phaedra says that Drew did let her know that she would be running late, all right? So we see Phaedra calling Kelli a bite-sized brownie, and I done missed a whole episode, and I come back to Phaedra still trying to shade Kelli for her height. Like, is this what got her first chair at the reunion? Is this it? Anyway, we see all the ladies show up. They're dressed in all black, and Angela lets them know about the weirdo that was at Kelli's event yesterday. And child, when Britt comes in, she says hi to everyone, and then she says hi to Kelli twice, and Kelly's just ignoring her, okay? And I said, oh, this is about to be bad, because you already know how Britt gets when she feels rejected and when she doesn't get the proper hi and the proper hug, all right? So Kelli tells us that Britt has not reciprocated the support that she has shown her in trying times. And for this to all be over glam, Britt is clearly not her friend. So Britt tells us that things never had to get to this point, and Kelli could have came to her and let her know what the issue was regarding the glam squad. Now listen, I feel that Kelli is trying to get in good with Shamea, like I said before, and because of that, she's moving differently with Britt. And I also feel like she's trying to embarrass Britt. Not that Britt needs much help in that department, but as far as Britt not calling her on that special day I would have called her. I definitely would have been like, hey girl, I'm just calling to check up on you, but we're definitely going to have a conversation about that shit you pulled in Grenada. Yeah, when you came for me with Shamia at that dinner, we're going to have to talk about that. But for now, how are you doing? How did things go today? Okay. Because for that to go down and for Kelli to have been talking about Brit with the glam team behind Brit's back and talking about that situation, and then for Kelli to be upset with Brit as if she played no part in the issue that they're having currently, is crazy to me, especially after that conversation that y'all had in Grenada where you know Shamia was coming for her and you just sat there and you egged it on and you backed Shamia up. So for that to happen and then Brit doesn't call you and then you're upset, it seems like Kelli is starting at point B when she needs to back it on up a little bit, back to point A, and realize how she might have played a part in this situation. At the same time, Brit, get your own glam team. Get your own glam team if you got it like that. Stop pretending, okay? Call one of your homegirls from the country club and see if they have some glam that they can help you out with, all right? So they put that conversation to rest for a little bit while Angela tells them that she did some research on the weirdo who was at Kelli's event, and her and Charles had someone pay him a visit, okay? So it turns out he was actually paid to be there by some guy, and they're working on figuring out who the guy is that paid him. And it was obvious that he wasn't coming with genuine concern because he was doing way too much, but apparently he's going to be on the next episode, so we'll see, okay? Meanwhile, we see that Drew just arrived, and she sent Phaedra a video of all of the traffic that caused her to be late, but the doors are locked. The event hasn't started yet, but the doors are locked, all right? So back inside, Kelli and Brit are still going at it, and Kelli is absolutely shocked when she finds out that Brit invited Cynthia and Portia to her home. Kelli was like, oh, she invited y'all to her house? Okay, so child, Brit tells Kelli to stop being passive aggressive. Kelli says, well, I'm not passive, I'm aggressive. And then Brit starts walking up on her talking about, well, I've never seen you get aggressive. See, Brit? See, Brit, that's your problem. Why can't you use your words? Why are you walking up on people? Because girl, you can't be walking up on people like that. I don't know where you learned that shit, but you can't do that to everybody. You can't, all right? Cynthia has to actually get in between them, child, and they start going back and forth about Brit using Kelli's team, and we see Kelli walk away with her drink, and Brit says, she's just feeling insecure about me using the same team as her since Nashville because I was getting styles better. I was looking better. Now, remember, Brit is that girl who thinks that females and everyone else doesn't like her and she looks better than everyone and everyone is hating on her, okay? Remember, Brit is that girl, okay? So then Kelli starts yelling and she tells Phaedra to talk to her pill-popping roommate. She said, talk to your pill-popping roommate. Kelli is going off. She says, I'm using my outside voice. I'm not using no inside voice. She is clearly pissed. And everyone was like, pill popping? What kind of pills are we talking about? What kind of pills are we talking about? So Brit then comes back and yells out that Kelli had a bunch of schmorshins while she was married. And Kelli starts yelling out that Brit can't even have children and that Brit wants to be her. And Brit says, girl, no one wants to be you, you little hobbit. So Kelli yells at her security and she says, get me out of here. Get me out of here now. And I was like, now girl, why are you yelling at security like that? He didn't do anything, child. So the ladies are telling Brit that was a low blow. And Brit is like, well, she called me a pill popper. She called me a pill popper. Listen, I definitely agree with what Cynthia said in her confessional. Even if you fall out with a friend, there are just some things that you take to the grave. And I 1000% agree with that. 1000%. But we got to remember, Kelli and Brit were never friends to begin with. Kelli and Brit were never friends to begin with. They were doing this fake bestie shit for the show, and y'all are sharing secrets or making up lies because we don't know what's going on here. We don't know if it's the truth. We don't know if it's lies, but what we do know is that y'all faked it. That's what we do know, okay? So Kelli is absolutely pissed, and she's in her confessional, and she says, first of all, my body, my choice. I said, period. I agree with you on that. And she also says that she got her tubes tied right after her twins were born, so she couldn't make a baby if she wanted to. Meanwhile, we see that Drew is still waiting outside, and an officer, he brings her some of his chicken wings, but Drew was at the door way before the event even started. Y'all could have definitely let her in. I feel like that was on purpose, but I do love just the way that Drew was unbothered. She was chilling, and when she was finally let in, it was the very end of the show, and Dylan and Aiden were modeling Dylan's pant line, and he lets them know that they're doing pre-orders, okay? He's like, look, y'all can get on the website, y'all can order. They said, we ain't doing no winter, summer, spring joggers over here. We got our shit together, okay? Ain't nothing stuck in Alaska. we got our shit together, even though it's pre-order. We don't know, but they already seem way more prepared than Sheree ever was. All right. So Phaedra gets emotional in her confessional because she's just so proud of her boys, and rightfully so. And I love how big brother Aiden hugged him and congratulated Dylan and told him that he was proud of him as well. You can see that those brothers are really close, and I love that. All right. So next we see the ladies, they're shopping, and we see the price tags. All right. So Cynthia got herself a $700 faux fur. Kelly got one that was $1,400. Angela got herself a $2,200 yellow fur. She says that she's gonna rep Sesame Street in it. I said, I know that's right. And next we see Shamia. She pulls Britt aside to ask why she didn't just call Kelly on such an important day. And Britt says that she heard that Kelly was talking about her behind her back regarding this whole glam squad thing, and she couldn't be fake, so she didn't reach out to her because she says that she cannot support someone who's been hating on her. And the fact that y'all can even have such a huge fallout and say all of these things to each other over a damn glam squad shows how fake and how weak that little friendship was. It really does. And to close this episode, we see Phaedra informing the ladies that Portia couldn't make it because Londi passed away. And of course, everyone is extremely sad and shocked, and Shamia starts to cry. It definitely looks like that's the first time that she was hearing that information. And Phaedra tells them that that's why it's so important for them to stick together and support one another, because life is short. And we see that they dedicated this episode to Londi. Once again, rest in peace to her, okay? So we see in the previews for next week's episode, child, the season finale, that Angela will actually be meeting up with the guy who was claiming that Charles was in a restaurant with another woman, okay? And we also see Charles kicking his ass up out of an event, all right? So it looks like the finale is going to be a little lit. Some things are going to go down. Tell me what you think about this beef between Kelly and Britt. I honestly feel like Kelly started moving different with Britt first, right? And then Britt started acting accordingly. She started picking up on things. She heard about the shade, and then she went way too low at Phaedra's event. But I feel like they both have fault in this situation. Let me know all of your thoughts. Before you leave, please don't forget to hit like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that you hit that notification bell so that you're made aware when I upload. And I cannot wait to see you in my next video. Bye!
Roxiie says we're gonna talk about it.